Her departure was never a simple goodbye. It was a strategic withdrawal, executed with the unshakable certainty of how the story would unfold in her absence. In the theater of her mind, she was not just leaving a man. She was exiting a stage where she had been the lead actress, the director, and the most captivated member of the audience, all at once. She walked away or pushed you away with such calculated disrespect. Letting go became your only option for survival, clinging to a very specific and comforting script. This script did not include your revival. It detailed your ruin. She pictured you in the dim, silent aftermath of her exit, broken, bitter, and perpetually paused, a man frozen in the moment of his loss. You would be, in her imagination, silently waiting for her return, sentinel at the empty gate of a kingdom she had abandoned. Your nights would be long, hollowed out by the relentless replay of every memory, every touch, every argument. Your days would be gray landscapes, colored only by the desperate, to unspoken hope for another chance, for a word, a sign. Any flicker of her returning grace. This vivid fantasy was not born of malice alone. It was her psychological anchor. It was the mechanism that allowed her to frame the entire narrative around her own centrality. In this story, she was the sun, and your world, by definition, was supposed to go dark without her light. Her absence was not meant to be an empty space. It was designed to be a vacuum, a crushing force that would collapse your spirit and prove, once and for all, her irreplaceable value. The power she derived from this was immense and intimate. It allowed her to sleep at night, to tell herself that the pain of the breakup was not a shared burden, but a sentence she had handed down and you were serving. It confirmed her deepest belief that she was the architect of your emotional world. This need to be the center of your universe is a powerful force, one that does not simply vanish when the relationship ends. Even after walking away, she secretly wants to believe she still lives rent-free in the prime real estate of your mind, that your thoughts are a haunted house and she is the only ghost. The idea that you are out there somewhere, pining, aching, and perpetually wounded by her memory is a balm to her own ego. It sustains the illusion that her choice to leave was not just an end, but a statement of her supreme importance. She imagines you looking at old photographs, listening to songs that remind you of her, your heart clenching at the mere whisper of her name in a crowded room. This fantasy gives her a sense of control long after she has physically left the scene. She holds the puppet strings, and from a distance, she believes she can still make you dance the sad dance of loss. She expects to be remembered as unforgettable, a beautiful scar you would carry for a lifetime. Even if she was the one who betrayed, who walked away without a backward glance, she wants to believe that you will never truly get over her, that no other woman could ever measure up, that her particular blend of magic and chaos was a unique imprint on your soul. This is why, months later, she will feel the pull to check your social media, to linger in conversations with mutual friends, to send that seemingly innocent "Hey, how are you?" text out of the blue. These are not acts of curiosity. They are inspections. She is checking the wound she believes she inflicted. She is probing the site of the injury to see if it's still raw, if it's still bleeding for her. She needs the confirmation that the scar tissue is thin, that a single word from her could reopen it. This need is the engine of her post-relationship power, the foundation of the entire illusion she has built, the illusion that she was, and always would be, the whole book of your life. Not merely a chapter, the first glimpse is never a clean, immediate pain. It is a disorienting shock. It's a cognitive dissonance that rattles the very foundations of the story she has been telling herself. She sees a photograph, perhaps stumbled upon through a mutual friend's feed, or caught in the periphery of a social media story. It's not a posed, grim-faced portrait of you trying to look stoic. It's you, caught in a moment of unguarded laughter with friends. Your head thrown back, the crinkles around your eyes genuine. Or it's a candid shot of you focused on a new hobby, your body language speaking of absorption and peace. It's not of a man desperately trying to fill a void. The energy is all wrong. This is not the broken, orbiting satellite she pictured. This is a planet spinning calmly on its own axis, its gravity well intact. Her initial reaction is not jealousy, but a profound and unsettling confusion. The brain struggles to reconcile the evidence before it with the deeply held belief it has nurtured. She had armed herself for tears, for anger, for a visible decline. She was prepared to see a hollowed-out version of the man she left because that would validate her narrative. Instead, she sees vitality. She sees a lightness in your posture that wasn't there before, relaxation in your shoulders that suggests the weight she represented is gone. This sight acts like a key, turning a lock deep inside her, and the first crack appears in the wall of her illusion. The carefully constructed image of you as the perpetually waiting, heartbroken ex begins to fracture, and through that crack, a terrifying sliver of doubt enters. This doubt quickly morphs into a series of silent, frantic questions that echo in the hollow space where her certainty once lived. Was I ever that important? The question is a seismic tremor. If you can be this genuinely happy, not pretending, not faking it for the camera, but truly glowing with an unmistakable inner peace, then what role did she truly play? Her entire sense of power was predicated on the idea that she was the source of your happiness, that your joy was a faucet she controlled. Now, she is faced with the undeniable truth that you have found water elsewhere, from a well she didn't know existed. The narrative of her being the irreplaceable sun in your sky is challenged by the simple, brutal fact that you have found another source of light, and it seems to be emanating from within yourself. This is the moment the mirror is held up, and she is forced to look into it. Your happiness reflects back a truth she never prepared for. She was not your anchor, but a weight. She was not your foundation, but a source of instability. The calm discipline you now exhibit, the focused pursuit of your goals, the easy camaraderie with friends, it all paints a picture of a man who is not just coping, but thriving in an environment from which she has been removed. The contrast is devastating. It suggests that her presence, which she believed was a gift, might have actually been a burden. The chaos she may have brought, the constant need for validation, the emotional storms you had to navigate, all of it is absent now, and in its place is a quiet, powerful peace. She will try to dismiss it, of course. The ego's first line of defense is denial. He's just putting on a show, she whispered to herself in the dead of night, scrolling through your profile again, searching for a chink in the armor, a hint of sadness in your eyes, a caption that sounds a little too forced. She will look for evidence that this is all a performance, a grand act of revenge designed to make her feel exactly this way. But the more she watches, the more the evidence mounts against her. The happiness is consistent. It's in the way you talk about your future, in the new projects you undertake, in the simple, unfiltered moments of joy that cannot be staged. Real happiness has a specific gravity, a radiance that is impossible to counterfeit for long. And as this reality solidifies, her fantasy of being the unforgettable ghost in your machine begins to dissolve. She is not the lingering pain. She is the healed wound. And that is a truth far more terrifying than any amount of anger you could have ever directed her way. The true, devastating shift in power is not cemented by your happiness alone, but by the profound and unshakable indifference that accompanies it. This is the chapter where the last vestiges of her control are not merely challenged, but systematically dismantled. Anger, bitterness, even visible pains, these are all forms of engagement. They are energies that still tether you to her. They tell her that she lives in your head, that her choices still dictate your emotional weather, that the hook is still set deep. Your rage would be a testament to her impact. Your pleading would be a symphony to her ego. But indifference? Indifference is a void. It is the sound of nothing, and that silence is louder than any scream. This indifference manifests not as a cold, pointed hatred, but as a calm, pervasive unbotheredness. It is the simple, brutal fact that her presence and her absence have become irrelevant to your trajectory. You are no longer a character in her story, reacting to her plot twists. You have become the author of your own narrative, and she has been written out. She can feel this shift in the energy even from a distance. It is in the way you no longer linger when her name is mentioned in conversation. Your gaze not flickering with hidden pain, but remaining steady and calm. It is in the way you no longer craft social media posts with a hidden audience of one, but instead share your life with a genuine, uncalculated joy. You are not orbiting her emotional gravity anymore. You have broken free into your own solar system, and the peace you have found there is your ultimate declaration of independence. This is the death of her backup plan, the incineration of her safety net. In the recesses of her mind, no matter how she justified her departure, there was always the quiet comfort of a fallback position. She believed that if her new adventures faltered, if the thrill of freedom curdled into loneliness, the door to your life would still be slightly ajar, with you waiting in the dim light on the other side. Your indifference slams that door shut and bolts it. You have stopped being her contingency. You are no longer available for her return. This realization is a profound humiliation because it means she has lost her power to re-enter your world at will. The man she assumed would always be an option has taken himself off the market, and the value she placed on herself plummets in the face of your unavailability. Driven by this growing panic, she begins her inspections. These are not the actions of a woman in love, but of a strategist whose map has been proven wrong. The late-night social media deep dives, the casual questions to mutual friends. So, how is he really? The seemingly innocent text message that appears out of the blue after months of silence. Hey, I was just thinking about you. Hope you're well? These are not gestures of reconciliation. They're probes. She is checking the wound. She needs to find the blood. She needs confirmation that the injury she inflicted is still raw, that her memory is still a ghost in your house. She is searching for any sign of delayed response, a tense tone, nostalgic comment that reveals you are still bleeding for her, but she finds nothing. There is no wound to check. Where she expects to find scar tissue, she finds only smooth, unbroken skin. Where she hopes for a flicker of pain, she encounters only a placid, calm lake. Responses to her probes are polite, perhaps, but brief and terminally neutral. They carry no emotional charge, no hidden meaning, no subtext of hope or hurt. They are the linguistic equivalent of a shrug. This is what truly collapses her ego. The silence that answers her probes is not the silence of suppressed pain. It is the silence of genuine closure. It screams that you are not hiding your hurt. You simply have none left to hide. This is the ultimate unbearable truth she must confront. Her leaving didn't break you, it built you. The very act she intended to be your destruction became the fuel for your transformation.
Ow.
The pain she thought would cripple you was instead alchemized into discipline. The loneliness she assumed would hollow you out, force you to find a deeper strength within yourself. You used the rubble of the relationship she demolished to build a stronger foundation. This is the cruelest irony, the one that twists the knife deepest. She was not your destroyer. She was your unwitting catalyst. She gave you the very reason to become untouchable. And now she has to stand on the sidelines and watch the magnificent result of her own actions. The man she thought she could live without has become a man who is truly living without her. And the indifference that makes it possible is the very thing that destroys her. As the initial shock of your happiness and indifference solidifies into a permanent, unchangeable reality, a quieter, more insidious process begins within her. The frantic denial and probing curiosity curdle into a deep, gnawing regret that settles in her bones. This is no longer about the narrative or the power struggle. This is a personal, private haunting. The image of you thriving, calm, and purposefully moving forward becomes a ghost that follows her into her own life, casting a long shadow over every new choice and every new person she allows in. She is now confronted not with what she lost in you, but with what she lost in herself when she lost you. This is where the subconscious rewriting of history begins. Late at night, in moments of stillness, her mind compulsively revisits the past. But now, the memories are not weaponized or framed by conflict. Instead, she finds herself romanticizing the very stability she once took for granted. She recalls the way you handled stress, not with panic, but with a quiet resolve. She remembers the safety she felt in your presence, the way your calm could silence the storms of her own anxiety, the small, unnoticed sacrifices you made, patience you exhibited in the face of her provocations. It's the way you carried yourself with a dignity that never begged for validation, All these once ordinary details now loom large in her mind. By regret until they shine with the luster of irreplaceable qualities. In this rewritten story, you were not the man she had to escape. You were the anchor she foolishly cut away. This painful revision of the past simultaneously forces a brutal rewrite of her own self-perception. In this new, unwanted narrative, she is no longer the brave heroine who walked away toward something better. She is recast as the short-sighted fool who failed to recognize true value. She was the one who underestimated, who failed to see the forest for the trees, who threw away gold while clinging to the glitter of fool's gold. The knowledge that her own actions, her disrespect, her carelessness, her decision to walk, created the very reality she now despises, is a form of psychological imprisonment. She is shackled by the awareness that she is the architect of her own regret. This internal torment inevitably bleeds into her present, poisoning her attempts to build new connections. Whether she admits it or not, a silent, insidious comparison begins with every new man she meets. She sits across from a date who showers her with lavish compliments, and instead of feeling flattered, she feels a restless emptiness. The effusive praise feels desperate, a stark contrast to your quiet, earned confidence that never needed to loudly proclaim its worth. Another might try to dominate a conversation to prove his intelligence or status, and she sees only insecurity where you possessed a grounded, unshakable self-assurance. The men who quickly fold under her moods, who give in to her every demand, in a bid to keep her, only highlight the strength of the man who held his frame, who could say no and mean it. You have become her silent, unyielding benchmark. No one else can measure up, not because they lack your specific features or your job, but because they lack the foundational core you displayed in its fullest form after she left, the strength of a man who found his happiness and peace within himself. Once a woman has witnessed that, has felt the solid ground of a man who doesn't need her to feel whole, no amount of surface-level charm, wealth, or excitement can ever feel like enough. The others feel like boys playing at being men, while you, from a distance, have become the definition of one. This realization makes her forever restless, forever unsatisfied. Every new relationship is doomed from the start, tainted by the unconscious knowledge that it is a downgrade from the stability she willingly abandoned. This is the spiral. It's not that she can't find another man. It's that she can't find that man, the one who didn't need her but chose her, the one whose value was inherent, not borrowed from her attention, the one who had the fortitude to accept her departure and use it as fuel for his own ascent. The harder she searches for a replica in the faces of new suitors, the more she understands that what she had was not a common commodity, but a rarity. She is now cursed to chase a shadow, forever haunted by the ghost of the man she let go, and the even more painful ghost of the grounded, secure woman she was when she stood beside him. The regret has become a permanent scar, shaping her every interaction and ensuring that your happiness, which set you free, has become the very thing that locks her in a prison of her own making. The destruction is now complete. Its finality is absolute as it is silent. This is no longer a temporary sting or a bruise to her ego that time will heal. It is a permanent reversal, a life sentence she must serve in the quiet confines of her own mind. The initial shock, the probing jealousy, the gnawing regret, all of it has crystallized into one unbearable, fixed truth. Your happiness without her is her lifelong punishment. The power dynamic she so carefully constructed has not just been inverted, it has been shattered. She thought walking away was an act of control. It's a demonstration of her superior options and her ability to thrive independently. Instead, that single act became the catalyst that set you free and simultaneously sealed her fate, proving that her greatest loss was not the act of leaving, but the man she left behind. The haunting is now a constant, low-frequency hum in the background of her life. She will smile at dinners, laugh at parties, and post pictures of a life that looks full and vibrant. But these are performances for an audience you no longer belong to. The curtain has fallen on your theater, and she is left acting on a stage alone. Every achievement you share, every new glimpse of your peaceful, purpose-driven life, is not merely a reminder of the past. It is a verdict on her future. It reinforces the brutal comparison. You are building a lasting reality, while she is often left curating a fleeting illusion. The man she thought would crumble is, in fact, the cornerstone of his own empire, and she is a tourist in other people's. The most devastating part of this permanent reversal is the knowledge that there is no way back. The door is not just closed. It has vanished from the wall. Your indifference, paired with your genuine joy, has built an impenetrable wall around your world. She knows with a certainty that chills her, that any attempt to re-enter a text, a call, a chance meeting would be met not with anger or longing, but with a calm, impenetrable neutrality that is the ultimate form of dismissal. She has lost her power to reignite your pain or your passion. You are emotionally unavailable to her in any form. And for a woman whose sense of power was tied to her emotional impact, this is a profound and irrecoverable loss. And so, she is left with the haunting, permanent knowledge. She will carry it into every new relationship, every quiet moment, every milestone she reaches. It will be the silent asterisk next to all her future joy. She had everything in the form of a man who offered stability and depth, and she let it slip away while you simply smiled, turned your back, and built a life she can never enter again. Your absence didn't break you, but your happiness without her forever breaks her. The roles have been permanently reversed. She is the one living with the ghost of what could have been, while you are living the reality of what is. And that is the one truth from which there is no recovery.